Hey everybody, Video152 Sports. This is the hurry up, and today we're gonna get into the games. But before we go, I want to get into two topics that I want to talk about real quick. First off, we're gonna talk about effective yardage. What that means, effective yardage, is that if a team is, everyone's worried about the Giants running the football and the Bills and everything creating pressure and things of that nature. You look at what the Pittsburgh Steelers did to New England Patriots. That was effective yardage. They got 5 yards a clip. They ran the football when they needed to, but they got 5 yards a clip. What that passing game did was allow them to do little spontaneous runs when they needed to keep the chains moving. What the Giants are going to have to do against New England is the same thing. Get 50 to 60 yards to make those linebackers think that you're running. Keep them honest. Make them say, hey, is this team going to run the football? Are they going to get 8 yards? Because an 8-yard run, believe it or not, it's effective. Because if you do, now you're in 2nd and 2 and you're lined up in a running back formation, and all of a sudden you do a play action pass over the middle and you hit the tight end for a seam route. Now they are 8 in the box. Now moves back to the normal 7. So now you're bringing a guy out of the box, and then all of a sudden you run again, and you get a couple yards, you get 3 yards, and all of a sudden they bring the guy back down in the box, and you do it again. So it's kind of like a chess match. You don't necessarily need 100 yards. And what has been happening to the Giants is they've been told, hey, beat us with your passing game. And they've been doing that. Because they're not going to, the teams are taking away what is the most effective for a team. Pittsburgh has a maligned offensive line. They can't really run the football, but when they do run it, and they do run it effectively, their zone blocking helps. So now, what they did was they found a weakness in New England's defense last week, and they exploited it. Same thing with Buffalo. Buffalo exploited the carousel that is the Washington Redskins quarterback controversy. But how is it effective on defense? You don't see, the Giants don't need necessarily to get 10 sacks in the game. They need an effective pass rush, just like the Bills. They need an effective pass rush on Sanchez to get him to know that we're coming all day, and we're going to be in your face, and we're going to make you throw the football and hurry yourselves up. It allows the defensive coordinator and the offensive coordinator to not necessarily realize what is going on. Not necessarily realize what's going on. So you want to be effective. So we got through to that. I'm also going to talk about underdogs. This is the NFL. There are underdogs all the time, but that's what makes the NFL so good. Teams like Miami, teams like Cleveland, teams like Seattle, who you don't expect to win games. That is why we play the games. That's what they say. That's why they play the games on Sunday. If you look at it, what happened last week to the New Orleans Saints, they got beaten by the St. Louis Rams. I picked St. Louis to get blown out in the game. You blow out a team 62-0, you come home, or you go to St. Louis and you lose that game 31-24. Come on now. That's why I say they play the games. Even though St. Louis is a little bit more talented or in a little bit more of a zone, they got overlooked. Still, Miami almost did it to the Giants, but I'm saying any given Sunday, this is the NFL, you play with professionals. It's not like in college where you're playing a team that is significantly less better than you. You have talent on the field. That's why they're in the NFL. Let's move into games, shall we? Are you ready for some football? Because I am. Let's get into it. New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. Nobody circles the wagons better. You know who I'm going to. Big game for the Bills. They need to make a statement. They know New England's playing a big game up in Foxborough. They need to make a statement to say that they are going to challenge for this AFC East. So I think they're going to go out and they're going to try to show the Jets up and New England up. I'm picking Buffalo. Seattle, Dallas. My upset pick of the week is Seattle beating Dallas. Granted, Dallas is coming off that horrible loss. They got to bounce back. If they don't bounce back in this game, this could be a season-turning point for them, being that they were considered the best team last week, and then they got dismantled, and now they're back to being normal. So much for a week, right? Cleveland and Houston, I'm going with Houston. Houston seems to be on a streak right now. They seem to be taking advantage of the wounded animal that is the Indianapolis Colts, and they want to take advantage of this division, get the first division title and their first playoff berth. Atlanta and Indy, come on. If Atlanta loses this game, Atlanta needs to keep pace with Tampa Bay and New Orleans in that division. So I think they're going to win this game. They're still going to make their march soon. Miami, Kansas City, I'm going with KC. I think Miami will put up a fight, but I think KC is starting to get the confidence, a little bit of swagger back. You beat a division rival on Monday Night Football in a big game. I think they're going to bring it today. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, I'm going with New Orleans. Even though Tampa Bay is coming in and Tampa Bay is trying to prove something, I think New Orleans just just if New Orleans loses this game, they're in trouble because you just beat one team. You're going to lose to a division rival. You need this game. You need this game more than you needed the St. Louis game, but it was a trap game because you probably were looking over St. Louis and ended up in Tampa Bay. I think New Orleans bounces back big time. San Francisco, Washington. I'm going with San Francisco. As much as, if you're in the NFC East, you would like for Washington to pull an upset, their quarterback situation is not that good. Let's be honest. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. As Charles Barkley was saying, that's terrible. That's what their quarterback situation is like. Terrible. Denver, Oakland. I'm going with Oakland. Obviously, the obvious choice. Maybe these picks don't surprise you. Maybe they're not the sexy picks, but I'm going with the ones that I think are going to win. And last week I was proven wrong in some of my picks, so let's do this. I may not be the czar. Cincinnati, Tennessee. I'll go with Cincinnati here. I just think Cincinnati likes to do what they do on defense. I think they're going to fluster Matt Hasselbeck. St. Louis, Arizona. Ugh. 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 It's like a bitter beer face, right? You really don't want to pick this game, but you have no choice. If both teams ended up in a tie, it wouldn't surprise me. But I'm going with St. Louis, Arizona. Both teams struggling, especially Arizona. They might not have their quarterback, so maybe the team with the quarterback wins in St. Louis. New York Giants, New England. I'm going. You know where my loyalties lie, and they just got Jason Pierre-Paul cleared for the game. So I expect a fun game. Watch that game. I'm picking my hometown team. That's just where my loyalties lie. Green Bay, San Diego. I'm going with Green Bay. I think San Diego is reeling. I don't think they know where they're going. I think it's early for them to be reeling like this. Usually they pick it up, but I think that loss to Kansas City really put them in a tailspin. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. I want to pick Baltimore in this game, but I'm going to pick Pitt because I think Baltimore, they barely beat Arizona, and they're in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh remembers the loss opening day. They're going to bring the lumber today. You better bring the chin strap for that game because it's going to be a hard-hitting one. In Chicago, Philadelphia, you know who I'm going with. This is a time for, believe it or not, this is a time for Chicago to keep pace in the division. Obviously, they're behind Green Bay, and they have the Lions nipping at their heels to get into the playoffs. So this is a big game. They need this game. Philadelphia needs this game more, but Chicago, in order to get into the playoffs and stay in the wild card hunt and stay in the hunt for the division, they need this game. You can't afford to drive it away, especially with Green Bay undefeated. So those are my picks for Week 9. Playoff push is beginning. If your team's in it, it's time to win it. Let's do this. I'm the Don Juan of Sports. I'll see you guys